The truth that shakes the foundations of what we've been taught. A truth that leads us back, not to Europe, not to the halls of Rome, but to Africa, to Ethiopia.
Old scrolls found in Ethiopia reveal what really happened during the 40 days after the return from the grave.
The claim of Christianity is that a historical drama transpired. It's about a man who was murdered, who rose from the dead, and that means that there's a place, okay? There's a time and place that we can pinpoint where that happened.
For nearly 2,000 years, the world was told a simple story, but the Mashafakan book shows it was actually a time for deep training. These hidden books describe reality in a way that bypasses every religious boss or leader. They speak about nature, energy, and a future conflict that is fought with awareness rather than weapons. Everything believed about the nature of God is missing pieces that only these monks have kept safe from those who wanted them gone forever. Truth behind the 70. The story of the resurrection is missing huge pieces that have been hidden for nearly 2,000 years. While most of the world follows a book with 66 sections, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has always protected 81. These are not just extra chapters added for fun, they are some of the oldest Christian writings ever found, and they were used by the very first believers long before they were removed in other countries. For hundreds of years, experts in the West said these books were just myths, but then science proved them wrong. Carbon dating on the Garima Gospels showed they were made between 330 and 650 years after the start of the Common Era. This makes them the oldest books of their kind on the planet. While other places were falling apart, these monks were busy saving the original source code of their faith. Inside these books, things get even crazier because they talk about a cosmic event that most people have never heard of. The Book of Enoch says that humanity did not just make mistakes before the giant flood. It says 200 watcher angels came down to earth and took human wives. This created giant beings called the Nephilim who started to eat everything in the world. These angels also taught humans things they were not supposed to know yet, like how to make weapons, use magic, and study the stars. This was not just breaking a rule, it was a breach of how the universe is supposed to work. This is the main reason why the Roman Church took these books out of the Bible. They wanted a world that was easy to manage, and the world Enoch describes is far too wild and hard to control. Ethiopia chose to keep it all, and Enoch is only the start of the surprises. There is another text called the Mashafakan, or the Book of the Covenant, which is a total shock to the system. In the common story, the teacher appears only a few times after returning from the grave. In the Ethiopian books, he stays for 40 days and gives very specific instructions. He does not just give speeches, he explains how reality actually works. He talks about hidden structures and knowledge that does not need a church leader to explain it. He speaks about frequencies, spirits, and a fight at the end of time that is won by being awake and aware. It is a very deep and urgent message that makes the person reading it feel powerful. The monks believe that the 81 books are the narrow gate, while the common Bible is the wide path made for the masses. Basically, if they are right, the Bible most people read is not finished because it was censored a long time ago. Now that these books are being translated for everyone to see, the seal is broken. These are not safe stories anymore, they are the raw facts of history. If giants and angels sound hard to believe, the things said during those 40 hidden days are even more intense. Things get even crazier when you look at how these books describe the danger of a fake world. Christ's final message. In the standard books of the New Testament, the time between the return from the grave and the trip to heaven is very short. But in the Ethiopian Book of the Covenant, this is the most important part of the whole story. This is when the training wheels come off for the followers. According to these writings, the teacher brings everyone together to get them ready for a spiritual war. He talks about a concept called the builder of shadows that will blow your mind. He says the physical world of money and power is mostly a playground for a force that likes to trick people. He tells them not to build buildings out of stone because they will just fall down. Instead, he tells them to build a temple inside their own hearts because that is the only thing that lasts forever. This might sound like a nice thought, but in these books, it is a very serious command. He is actually warning them against making big, organized religions. He says that in the future, men will wear long clothes and use his name to get rich. He even warns that a future version of Rome will turn his message into a tool for war. The way he describes this is so specific that it scares many experts today. It is like he is looking 2,000 years into the future and seeing all the gold in the big churches. He tells his followers that a true believer has to stay away from the systems made by men. So here's the deal about the human soul according to these texts. He says every person has two winds blowing through them. One is the wind of life and the other is the wind of error. The wind of error is not just having a bad thought, it is described as something that acts like a tiny bug or parasite. It gets inside a person through being greedy or telling lies. Once it gets in, it makes the heart like rock. He calls people who have this happen to them walking tombs. It means they are alive on the outside, eating and talking, but on the inside they are already gone. It is like a zombie event, but for the spirit of a person. What most people do not realize is that he gave them a way to fix this. It is not about paying money or doing a special dance, it is about knowledge. He teaches them to watch their thoughts like a person guarding a gate. He says the kingdom of heaven is actually inside the human body, hiding in the quiet space between thoughts. This is exactly why the Roman Empire had to hide this book. They needed people to follow the boss and pay taxes. They did not want people thinking they could talk to the divine without a middleman. If you believe the truth is inside you, you stop bowing to kings and bishops, and that makes you impossible to lead. The book also has very odd details about how the earth works. It talks about gates for the wind and places where snow is kept. People used to think this was just poetry, but now science shows that weather moves in huge rivers of wind all over the planet. He also talks about a giant ocean deep under the ground. Just recently, scientists found a massive amount of water trapped in rock hundreds of miles beneath the surface. The Ethiopian Bible was right about the water and the wind long before anyone else. This makes the spiritual warnings feel much more real. He says the darkness will eventually come and it will wear his face. That is the scariest part of the whole book because it means the greatest evil will look like a good person or a savior. It will trick the world by looking exactly like the thing it is trying to break. This means the trick is already here, hidden inside the places we trust the most. It has been missing for years, but this key detail about a hidden box shows the power is still on Earth. Solomon's secret box. You cannot talk about the secrets of Ethiopia without talking about the Ark of the Covenant. Most movies say it was lost in Egypt, but people in Ethiopia say that is not true at all. Almost everyone there believes the box is still inside a small building in the city of Axum. This is the very center of their whole history. The story starts with the Queen of Sheba who travels over 1,500 miles to meet King Solomon. She has a son named Menelik I who later goes to visit his father. Solomon wants him to stay and be king, but the boy says no. However, he does not leave with nothing. The royal records say that he and his friends pulled off a big switch. They put a fake box in the temple and took the real one back to Africa. The Ark is not just a pretty gold chest. The old stories say it was a weapon that could burn through armies and start fires. It eliminated anyone who got too close without being ready. These effects sound a lot like modern radiation. Even today, there is only one man allowed to be near the box. He is the guardian, and once he takes the job, he can never leave that small chapel for the rest of his life. People who see these guardians say they get white spots on their eyes and their skin turns very pale. They often die quite young. Why would a box made of wood do that unless it was actually some kind of high-energy machine? Some people think the Ark is a very old piece of technology that we do not understand yet. Ethiopia has kept it safe for 3,000 years. This is why they were the only nation in Africa that was never taken over by Europe. When Italy tried to invade with new guns, the Ethiopian army beat them badly at the Battle of Adwa. The locals say a saint helped them, but others whisper that the Ark was brought to the field and a blinding light stopped the enemy. Even secret groups like the Knights Templar knew about this. They went to Ethiopia hundreds of years ago to find the box. You can still see their symbols carved into the stone churches in the mountains. They knew that the real power was not a cup, but a family line. The kings of Ethiopia ruled for 3,000 years because they said they were related to King David and Solomon. This means while people in Europe were praying to a distant figure, the people in Ethiopia were being ruled by his cousins. If the box in Axum is real, then the center of the faith is not in Rome, it is in a quiet African town. This mystery gets even deeper when you see the buildings that look like they were made with lasers. What most people do not realize is that the most amazing buildings in the world are hidden underground. Underground Jerusalem. In the 12th century, King Lalibela didn't build, he subtracted. He commanded the creation of 11 monolithic churches carved straight down into solid Ethiopian rock. These are not caves, but massive, freestanding structures with precise columns and windows, all hewn from a single piece of stone. Experts estimate that with simple tools, this feat would require 40,000 men working for a century. Yet there is no trace of the millions of pounds of displaced rock. It simply vanished. Monks maintain that while men labored by day, angels finished the work at night using tools of light that sliced through granite like butter. Some speculate the Ark of the Covenant was utilized to soften the stone. The most iconic structure, the Church of St. George, is a perfect cross sitting 40 feet below ground level. Its design is so advanced that it has resisted flooding for 800 years. Beneath these structures lies a labyrinth of pitch-black tunnels, a physical representation of the journey from the darkness of the grave toward the light. Recent laser scans have revealed hollow sealed chambers. Priests claim these rooms safeguard golden books and the ancient tools of saints. This was Lalibela's New Jerusalem, a computer-precise fortress designed to protect a legacy from the ravages of war. The secret within the stone is tied to the Solomonic dynasty, a royal line that lasted 3,000 years. Haile Selassie, the 225th ruler, was known as the Lion of Judah, a title based on a legal claim of descent from King David. DNA evidence now confirms that many Ethiopians share Middle Eastern ancestry dating back 3 millennia, proving the ancient migration stories are factual. This suggests that Ethiopian faith is a preserved, unfiltered version of the original teachings before they were altered in Rome. Some suggest that if the righteous teacher sought refuge, Ethiopia, ruled by his own kin, was the ultimate sanctuary. The monks believe they are guarding more than buildings. They are protecting a manual for the digital age. They warn of a future web of light filled with lies, where the truth hidden in the stone will eventually emerge to break the spell. What is the biggest secret you think is still hidden in the stone churches of Ethiopia? Do you think the world is ready for the truth? Like and subscribe for more.